Hello and welcome to that movie Beatdown. It's February, so what better time to review the rom-com Leap Year? Because I'll be darned if I'm waiting 4 more years to review this thing. Released in 2010, i.e. a common year, Leap Year is very loosely based on a supposed Irish tradition that women can propose to men on February 29th for good luck, and if he turns down the proposal then he has to give her a silk gown. This dates back to St. Patrick, who was proposed to by Nun St. Bridget of Kildare, who legend has it got Patrick to overturn his rule about a woman proposing every 7 years to every 4, and then pop the question to him herself, but declined in favour of giving her silk. Well, that's how the tale goes, even though its historical accuracy is dubious at best. But still, you won't learn anything like that from this movie. There have been debates that Leap Day proposal traditions, which is common in several other countries as well, is anti-feminist, especially since women are free to propose whenever they want, but it's still kept its status as a special day, although it doesn't appear that most in Ireland practice it these days. Anyway, writing partners Deborah Kaplan and Harry Elfont saw a story about Irish women proposing on Leap Day in 2008 and wrote and sold the resulting script very quickly. In case you're wondering, they specialised in comedies like Can't Hardly Wait, Surviving Christmas, The Flintstones and Viva Rock Vegas, and Maid of Honor. Hey, do you remember that last one where Patrick Dempsey had to win back his love from a bunch of kilt-wearing, haggis-devouring Scots that apparently took all of its cultural research from Braveheart? If you don't, well, aren't you fortunate? It's directed by Nan Tucker of acclaimed British films like And When Did You Last See Your Father and Hilary and Jackie, who has largely worked in TV since this film, including Red Riding and Indian Summers. Released in the January dumping ground while Avatar still dominated cinemas, it received largely negative reviews from critics, but perhaps none were more stinging than the film's star, Matthew Good, who in an interview with The Telegraph not long after its release called it, quote, turgid, and I know there are a lot of people that will say it's the worst film of 2010, admitting that his main incentive for doing the film was that the Irish shoot allowed him to fly back to his girlfriend and daughter in London at weekends, adding, quote, it wasn't because of the script, trust me. That said, Good did try to vaguely defend himself by claiming, I was told it was going to be like The Quiet Man with a Vaughan Williams soundtrack, but in the end it turned out to have pop music over it. Right, I'm sure it was. Did I feel I've let myself down? No. Was it a bad job? Yes, it was. But you know, I had a nice time and I got paid. Well, that's good for you at least. It opened at number 6 of the US box office and was quickly forgotten. In fact, it's not the only film called Leap Year released in 2010. As there's also a critically acclaimed Mexican drama that came out in the same year, which would sure be one hell of a mix-up to have on date night. So let's see why it doesn't take 4 years to forget that Leap Year existed, and what Matthew Good has to be so ashamed about. Meet Anna, played by Amy Adams, who is happily living her life in green screen Boston, who has a job of doing up people's houses, but she's not in real estate, technically.
I'm a stager. I stage apartments for realtors. I transform ordinary spaces into something special. Most people don't know what it is they want until I show it to them, and so many places need my help.
And thus our heroine has a quirky yet oddly specific profession that allows us to live a comfortably upper middle class life with only minimal effort. Isn't that charming? The opening credits sequence here is bizarre. It intercuts between 4 different times and settings, including a job, waiting in a bar, having a dress made, and applying to live in the Davenport in a random erratic manner that clearly indicates that these were all originally separate scenes that were flat as a pancake and sloppily assembled to make a title sequence with an upbeat jazzy score. Nope, not working.
Guess who I saw coming out of DePrisco's?
Who?
Jeremy! There's only one reason people go into DePrisco's. You're gonna have a better engagement ring than me, you big jerk! Okay, hold on, we gotta work on your surprise face, because I don't want him to know I told you.
Ask me.
Will you marry me? The good news is you have time to practice between now and then.
Oh my god, I'm getting married because that's clearly what my entire life to this point has been building up to! Thanks for spoiling, even more annoying friend than I am! One of these credit scenes is some random drunk approaching Anna while she waits for her unreliable father, played by John Lithgow, to make a rare visit. And don't worry, we'll keep cutting to this random guy throughout the scene for no reason, as Lithgow explains how her grandparents popped the question in Ireland on a leap day.
They'd been dating for a while and he was dragging his feet, so she finally suggested they pay a visit to the old country. February 29th, Dublin, Ireland. She hits him with it. Boom! Ring on finger, signed, sealed, delivered.
Dad, I've got to go.
No, I just got here.
We said 7.
Oh.
And that's John Lithgow's role done with in little over a minute. Bye! Thanks for setting up the plot! Get out of here while there's some dignity left! The same cannot be said for Adam Scott, who looks visibly embarrassed to be here and plays up the smarm as Anna's boyfriend Jeremy, who is a workaholic heart surgeon. I know this because he makes puns with the word aorta, and he keeps showing her pictures on his phone of patients' treatment. Ew, nice breach of patient confidentiality.
Oh, sorry. Hey, Bill. Oh, sounds like you're gonna have to go in from the spine.
The spine? I'm no doctor, but I'm pretty sure there's no procedure in cardiac surgery that requires going through the spinal column. And if you do, the patient's the wrong way up. But uh-oh, he's not actually gonna put a ring on it.
They're earrings.
Yeah.
For my ears.
Well, he's hardly gonna get you earrings for your eyelids now, isn't he? And you should probably just be glad that box didn't have a pig's heart in it, because his cardiac obsession is super creepy. But Jeremy's too busy to cut open Anna's chest and look inside it because he's flying out on a business trip to Dublin. But when Anna hears her father reciting the same lines he said 2 minutes ago, she decides to follow tradition and take a flight to Ireland.
I'm going to propose to my boyfriend on leap day. We've been together 4 years. We're buying this apartment together and it's perfect. I know exactly how I'm going to change it. It just creates a more free overall.
Lady, it's an overnight flight. Not even Ted Stryker gives a damn about your one-dimensional love life. It takes a special kind of bad movie to make the usually likeable Amy Adams completely obnoxious. The flight goes into a storm and suffers some severe turbulence, putting Anna's plans in jeopardy.
But I'm afraid we are being diverted to Cardiff, Wales, as Dublin Airport has been shut down.
Wales? No, we can't land in Wales.
I know, love. Many people feel the same way about Wales. Also, what the hell? Not only is Wales on a completely different bit of land, but it's even further away. Especially since they could have easily landed at Shannon Airport on the western side of Ireland. But apparently the weather is so bad that all the flights out of Cardiff have been grounded once they land until tomorrow. But that still isn't good enough for Anna, who is so self-centered she demands a flight out, which they naturally refuse. But here her selfishness becomes stupidly dangerous as Anna arrives at the port, and since there's obviously no ferries as the sea would be even more hazardous than the air right now, she somehow gets a boat to ride her across the Celtic Sea.
We're going to have to go into Dingle.
But I paid for Clark! Okay, Dingle will do!
What sea captain in their right mind would take their tiny boat out in the middle of a huge storm? Apparently the same one that thinks that Dingle is a shorter journey than Cork, given it's on the other side of Ireland. So having nearly killed herself and smuggled herself into the country, so good luck getting home, Anna finally makes it onto Ireland, but not as we know it. In real life, Dingle is a popular tourist town, but in this movie it appears to be some crap hole village that consists of about 6 houses and a pub, frequented by merry old people drinking Guinness, naturally, and operated by Declan, played by Matthew Good with an appalling accent, who acts like a dick.
Is there a taxi service or something? Perfect, thank you. Yes, I need a taxi to Dublin. What do you mean you don't drive American redheads? How do you know the color of my hair? Of course.
Okay, right, so he runs both the pub and the local taxi service. I mean, you could have just told her that, but then we wouldn't have had this hilarious prank. And by hilarious, I mean stupid.
It's bad luck to start a journey on a Friday.
Saturday. It's bad luck to start a journey on a Saturday.
Tuesday?
No, it's Sunday to be sure.
Oh, and the Irish people are all superstitious and obsessed with luck. Oh, aye, lassie, you mustn't set out on a Monday, you get shivved by a leprechaun. What? It's not like my accent's any worse than Matthew Good's.
Leap year, diddly eye. Will you marry me, diddly eye?
Diddly eye? And the pub is also the only hotel, because you get the idea, and the room she's offered is a shoebox. She's lost the power on her phone, because we're ticking all the cliches today, and there's an unfunny sequence where she struggles to plug it into the socket, and moving the furniture causes the room to fall apart in badly staged slapstick. Don't worry, she's got a converter, but she still blows out the power anyway.
You fried my BlackBerry.
You fried the whole village, Egypt.
Apparently the island of this movie is so backwards that even plugging your charger into the wall is enough to cripple the entire town. Sorry, village. What next? Is she going to eat the last packet of crisps to discover the potato famine's still on? You'd also think Declan would be thankful for a customer, considering he's €1,000 in debt and they're going to repo the kitchen, which is simply to give a reason why we'd want to drive her to Dublin for €500. Despite running the local taxi service, he's clearly driving her in his own car, an old banger of course, and doesn't even know how a suitcase works, let alone who Louis Vuitton is.
I tell you something, they'll kill each other.
Well, here's hoping. Also, is Dingle just going to shut down while Declan's away? Because it seems like he's pretty much the entire one-man industry there.
Okay, it's only February 27th. I still have 2 days to get there.
Wait, hold up a minute. You took an overnight flight on the 25th and landed in Cardiff on the 26th and risked your life because you couldn't wait a day for a connection to Dublin, even though you had several days to spare? You're a total moron! Speaking of which, you must be wondering how they're going to get there. Maybe Declan will give her a short lift to the nearby Kerry Airport, which flies out to Dublin in an hour. Oh wait, sorry, of course that doesn't exist in an island whose power supply is defeated by a phone. Maybe Declan will drive up the motorway like the M7, which is a 4-hour journey. Or take the bus line from Dingle to Dublin that connects to nearby Tralee. I'm guessing those don't exist in the island of Leap Year either, since that would make for a rather short movie, as he appears to be taking Anna through a lot of winding country roads through the valley of bad compositing, since this island is nothing but a lot of farm and fields. You know how I knew all that? Because I typed the words Dingle to Dublin in Google, which is apparently far more effort than anyone who worked on this pile of rubbish did. For stupid reasons, Declan stops the car when Anna throws his cassette out the window. This is purely so the two can have a stupid argument, which allows for a herd of cows to just suddenly appear in front of their car in an instant. Gee, I wonder if someone will step in a cow pat soon.
I've spent the past 24 hours in every level of hell. And I am not going to let your black and white asses drag me any further. Now! Yeah, you guys are... Wow, you're big. We're gonna just...
Oh yeah, they're moving now.
That's right. That's how you get things done.
Yes, I'm sure the cows completely understand what a bad day you're having. In fact, I think it's a really good idea to just keep clapping at them. Because what's the worst that could happen? They could only trample you. But at least no one stepped in... This movie is nothing if not a big pile of shit. Anna leans down against the car trying to clean off her shoe, causing it to roll down the hillside, and we get more wackiness as they try to stop it. Yes, jump onto the bonnet, I'm sure that won't make it slide faster. They naturally fail, so the car backs off the road and into a river. Because if you thought they wouldn't destroy the car, you've clearly never seen a film before.
They're gonna fall! Look what you've done! You couldn't just wait for the cows!
You couldn't just help me?
Don't blame her, she wasn't the one who forgot to put the parking brake on. Or is this another thing this version of Iron doesn't believe in? So after grabbing her clobber, Anna sets out to walk her way there. Eventually a van pulls up and she flags it down for a ride against Declan's advice. This looks like a trustworthy fellow putting her bag on. I'm sure he won't possibly drive off without her as she mocks Declan. Oh look, they're heading off towards the obvious punchline. Yes, Ireland is well known for its random travelling vans that just go around the countryside stealing tourist luggage for no real reason. You really gotta keep your wits about you. Weirdly, Declan somehow manages to walk so far ahead of Anna that he sat waiting for her in a Western-themed bar. Let's not even ask. Wouldn't you know it, the thieves are also there, apparently amusing themselves over her underwear. Well, in this version of Ireland, they need all the entertainment they can get. Declan comes to her aid in a fight shoes, which suddenly makes the inexplicable decor in the middle of nowhere vaguely make sense, and though they manage to get her suitcase back, the owner kicks them out. Well, that was a completely random cul-de-sac that had no bearing on anything whatsoever. I think we should just go on pretending like that didn't happen. Sounds good to me! They make their way down further to a train station that is apparently located in the middle of the countryside. Yep, that's how that works. Where Anna learns that the only train is 2 3/4 hours away. Well, that I can certainly believe at least. They don't specify where they are, except they sit on a bench and see Ballycarby Castle in the distance. This is impossible because A, it's nowhere near a train station, that's a CGI composite, and B, if they have managed to get to Ballycarby, they've managed to travel at least 50 kilometres in the wrong direction. They filmed this entirely in Ireland. How have they not managed to notice that nothing about this script even remotely resembled the place that they were shooting in? It's not Middle Earth, it's a country that people live in. They're probably gonna notice. Figuring they got time to spare, Declan hikes up to the castle and Anna reluctantly follows, which means we get more time for character development.
If your house was on fire and you had 60 seconds, what would you take? Come on, would it be the Chihuahua on the duvet?
I'm not playing this game with you.
There you are.
What would you take?
Not telling you.
It's amazing just how little chemistry they have together, but when they're this irritating, no wonder we don't root for them. She's a selfish imbecile, and he's an antagonistic dickhead. Sounds like a dream couple to me. As they reach the top, Declan regales her with a local tale about a woman who was engaged to someone she didn't love and so ran away with a young warrior who apparently consummated their love at the castle. Symbolism!
Then they came to this castle. And this view.
Yes, let us drink in this completely fake landscape shot that further reinforces that we're in a fantasy land that has no basis in reality, and how their big romantic scene in the movie is staring at something that isn't actually there. The moment is interrupted by heavy-handed pathetic fallacy as they see the train pulling in and it starts pissing down as they try and race down the hill, because apparently this walk somehow took close to 3 hours without them noticing, and yet they still think they can make it in time. And if you guess that Anna is going to slip and slide down the mud, yep, this is that stunningly predictable. The movie's meant to be humiliating Anna for being a fussy snot, but really all her problems are caused by the fact that she's an impatient moron. The fact that she's stuck here is entirely her fault. The conductor, Frank, played by Tony Raw, takes them to what he calls the best B&B in Tipperary. Well, that's quite some walk from Ballycarby Castle, but at least it's considerably in the right direction. But with Frank's wife Eileen, there's a catch with this.
You're lucky, so you are. Just half an hour ago I had 2 backpackers at the door wanting the room. But they weren't married, so I sent them packing. Right is right, rain or no rain. So, it's Mr. and Mrs.
O'Callaghan.
Brady Callahan.
Lovely. Now, let's get you to your room.
Oh, look, it's that rom-com convention where 2 people who hate each other are forced to become a couple and then they realise how much they like each other. How trite. Also, I know Ireland is quite religious, but this seems like a rather strict policy enforced in 2000 whatever. They agree to make dinner as a thank you for the owners, where we get this delightful moment.
Not one of those vegetarians, are you?
No.
Good. Coq au vin?
Well, that's lovely. Glad to see a torn between a guy whose blood gets pumping for heart and an arsehole who casually kills chickens just to get a rise out of her. Isn't that romantic? I guess it is, since they seem to be enjoying making the stew considering how unpleasant he is. They're joined by an Italian couple who show off their kissing skills, and the owners, who haven't noticed these 2 aren't wearing rings, ask Anna and Declan to follow suit.
Show us old ones how it's done.
Oh, that's perfect.
Oh, if that was a kiss, I'm surprised you still went to him at all.
You're young, married, in love. Anyone can see that. Damn it, man. Kiss the gal.
Uh-oh, even though these 2 have spent the whole time despising each other, that just means they're in love. I guess we can put that down to the chicken. But nope, we can't get rid of the friction between them, so in the very next scene, Declan manages to tick off Anna by keeping a total of her fee. But they secretly long for each other as they awkwardly toss and turn in bed to dream a little dream of me, which is so like The Quiet Man, I'll have you know.
I'm so sorry I'm not there yet. You can't imagine what I've been through. I just can't wait to see you.
Well, maybe this will cheer you up. I just heard from the board, and we got the apartment.
What?
Yeah, I just got off the phone with Edith. It's ours.
You just got off the phone with them now, Jeremy, did you? Do they normally make those calls in the small hours of the morning on a Sunday? I know it's a Sunday because Frank says so, and there's no trains running, but Anna is rather eager to get to Dublin, as it is the 28th.
You have a car, don't you?
Oh, yes.
I would be willing to pay you a substantial amount of money if you would maybe drive me.
No. Oh, it's not the money, gal. It's Eileen, gone to Mass. Then the weekly shop, you know.
Okay, well then when she's back, you...
Oh, she won't be back till all hours. It's a fair old John to Dublin. Bingo!
So did Declan know that she was going to Dublin and just didn't tell Anna about it? If so, what a douche! Especially considering that he's extorting her for the slowest trip to Dublin anyone has ever made. So Anna and Declan start to walk to the bus station, but when the sky unleashes hailstones, they flee to a nearby church.
Jesus Christ!
Is Lord.
I always like my jokes to cycle from deck the halls. I mean, it is a Sunday. Why not yell out casual blasphemy at the top of your lungs inside a church? So yes, it turns out they've managed to crash a wedding in another marriage-related circumstance, almost like fate. Or really heavy-handed script writing is trying to tell them something.
Come on, Dublin. We should be making tracks.
No, the priest is going to give us a ride to the bus station when it's over.
We can walk.
I'm not walking another 4 hours in these shoes.
I like how that's an obviously ADR conversation to try and explain why these characters stay at this wedding for no real reason when there is clearly somewhere they need to go to and the weather's obviously cleared up. Almost like this whole thing is really contrived. Thus Owen Wilson and Vince Vaughn, I'll let you decide which is which, decide to greatly overindulge their host's hospitality as they engage in some Irish dancing, and because not a moment can go by without something stupid, as Anna is spun through the air, her shoe comes off and clonks the bride right in the forehead.
I'm really sorry.
Lisa wasn't my husband.
Yeah, right? Lisa wasn't.
Congratulations, you've ruined the bride's big day and you've given her a concussion. Now get out! Anna gets drunk down by the Day for Night lake, where we get more romantic tension.
You know what you are?
Mm-hmm.
You're a beast. But you know what? I am onto you. You growl and you snap, but you're got a big thorn. Your beastie paw. Wanna come lay in?
No, he's not a lovely guy. He's a massive arsewipe who is using his hurt feelings as an excuse to be unpleasant to everyone he comes across. No wonder you threw up at the thought of kissing him. When Anna wakes up, she finds Declan asleep on a bench, having apparently carried her to the bus station, which kind of makes up for the fact they went virtually nowhere yesterday. She leaves him be, takes her luggage, and walks off. And there's a brief moment where Declan is woken by the bus and thinks she's left without him, only to learn that she's brought him coffee. I would love it if this movie simply ended with Anna abandoning him on that bench and just leaving him there while waving out the back window of the bus, "Adios, you bastard!" So they finally take the bus to Dublin, meaning it's taken them 2 days to make a 4-hour journey, and since it looks unseasonably lovely considering it's late February, I guess it's time for Declan to reveal why exactly he was being such a shit. That were not at all obvious when Anna managed to catch a photo of him with a blonde-haired girl.
She's here, isn't she? The blonde in the photo. Who's the guy?
We were all running the car together. Me, Kaylee, Ryan. We really got it going, you know. I mean, we were flying, and I thought that me and Kaylee were mad for each other. Apparently not. So that thing I'd grab if I had 60 seconds? My mother's clattering. Well, she's got it.
Okay, that does sound like a pretty bad breakup by all accounts, but it does seem like that was quite some time ago, and maybe you shouldn't be using it as a catchable excuse to be a knob. They go to Jeremy's hotel, proving that Dublin is the only modernised part of this island, and the actors finally show a flicker of chemistry now their characters have stopped hating each other, as Declan refuses her money despite being in crippling debt. As he leaves, he decides to act on his feelings, only for Jeremy to arrive arrive, and it turns out Jeremy has gotten the hint and proposes to Anna, who accepts while Declan sulks away quietly. Why have you suddenly gotten your hopes up? You knew she was going to be popping the question to her boyfriend. That was the whole point of the trip. Besides, you've only known each other for what, 2-3 days at most, which you spent the best part of being insulting and condescending. No wonder she didn't pick you. Hey, do you know what we haven't had? The obligatory rom-com montage! So as Anna flies back to fake Boston and starts getting cold feet, Declan confronts his ex and goes back and runs a fundraiser to save the pub, which turns out to be completely successful. I'm sorry, but where did all these people come from? It was abandoned a few days ago and now it's suddenly popular? Are you telling me that all he actually had to do was run his bloody business properly and this whole thing would have been solved in no time? Elsewhere, Anna learns the reason Jeremy proposed was to secure the apartment at the Davenport as they prefer married couples, and realises that he doesn't care about love so much as status and position. Turns out smarmy Adam Scott is smarmy, who knew? So remembering what Declan said, she pulls the fire alarm, where, ridiculously, Jeremy starts trying to save all their electronics as that's most worth saving to him, and she dumps him. And all Anna had to do to realise this was commit a felony and massively inconvenience all the other occupants in the building. She makes the long journey back to Declan's pub, but is he glad to see her? Is he buggery?
Customer said the chicken's dry.
Alright, which one of you bollockses thinks my chicken's dry? You? You?
Me.
What the hell are you doing here?
Is this how he normally treats his customers? No wonder they pissed off out of there. Also, are you sure this is the right man for you? I know it's a 6-hour flight, but it's not too late. Anna makes this big proposal to him about how for the first time she's not making plans, and how does he respond? He shakes his head, then walks out without a word and leaves her stood there. Well, this was a huge bloody mistake. Anna is so dejected at having thrown her life away, in fact, that she walks towards the edge of a nearby cliff in this scenic but hilariously overdramatic crane shot as the score swells. No, Amy, no! I know this is a bad movie, but there's no need to jump off a cliff over it!
Mrs. O'Brady Callahan, where the hell are you going?
You walked away.
I was getting something.
Really, that was a good time to go get something?
I was getting this. You big eaters.
You know how you can avoid this whole misunderstanding? By just saying, hold on a minute, I'm gonna go get something. Not difficult. Your dramatic exit nearly backfired on you, you pillock. And naturally, he's presenting her with the Claddo ring he got back from his ex and makes a proposal of his own, which she gladly accepts despite hardly knowing him. And they've obviously chosen this photogenic location for a shot of the sun setting behind them, and not because it makes any geographical sense. When I said this was nearby, I lied. This is the ancient fort of Dun Angus, which is over 100 kilometres away from Dingle. Now you must be thinking, oh Matthew, you're just being pedantic, no one cares about this stuff. Except A, this is one of the most recognisable landmarks in the country, and B, it's on an island, so Amy Adams has somehow walked on water. In magnificent style, the filmmakers left their biggest screw-up for last. Leap year is so awful that it could almost be considered a cultural insult. It's clear the writers had no idea what Ireland was like whatsoever other than what's on our Lucky Charms cereal box, and shoehorned them into every rom-com convention known to man, depicting the country like it's barely progressed in 100 years and filled with stereotypes. Amy Adams and Matthew Good are wonderful actors, but this movie does them a disservice because it makes them look like fools, playing petty, spiteful, and just plain aggravating characters who can hardly stand to watch, let alone want to see together, with good sullen barkeep being especially obnoxious. It aims to be this charming comedy, but it's cloying and sloppily made, with a haphazard quality at every turn, as they don't even put effort into the conventions. I can't imagine what it must be like watching this as an Irish viewer. This must have been laughed off the screen in the country, and not in the way the filmmakers intended. For all involved, this is a total embarrassment that, to quote the movie, is a load of poo. If you want to have a lucky day, don't waste your time watching this absolute drivel. Maybe take a page out of Matthew Good's book and watch The Quiet Man instead. Or hell, even watch a Leprechaun sequel. Those are about as Irish as this is. I'm Matthew Buck, beating down bad movies everywhere.